In this video, I'm going to show you how to cut things out in Photoshop so you can make a collage. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut out these images and we're going to place them on this plate. But to do that, we need to open these images not in preview, or we want to open in Photoshop. So to open these, I'm going to select, right click on seashells. I'm going to say open with, and I'm going to open with Photoshop. It's not in my list, so I'm going to choose another app. And I've got more apps, and hopefully Adobe Photoshop will be there. Always use this app to open JPEG files, so I don't want that. So I'm going to click OK, and up pops our shells. And the next one I want is my plate, so I'm going to right click, open with, and because we've now done the Adobe Photoshop, it's popping up in our list. And so there it is. So what I want to do is take these items, cut them out, and stick them on this plate. Now there are many different ways we can cut things and paste them across, but the first thing we need to do is select them. And our main selection tools are these three here. So this is called a Marquee Tool, and the Marquee Tool allows us to use regular shapes like rectangles and ellipses to select pixels so we can copy and paste. The Lassoo Tool has got different versions. Freehand lasso, so you can just draw around what you want to cut out. You've got the polygonal lasso, which allows you to cut using sort of straight lines, so you can draw an irregular polygon and it selects the pixels. And then we've got magnetic lasso, and magnetic lasso finds an edge and it tries to follow it. So I'm not sort of doing this very precisely, but it's telling the difference between the shape and the background. It's looking for a change of color, change of edge, and so you can cut out and select like that. I've selected, so I'm just going to deselect, so nothing's selected. And then we've got here, we've got a quick selection tool or a magic wand tool, and that's where Photoshop tries to work out itself what it is you're trying to cut out. Now the first shape I'm going to cut out is this bowl of shells here. Now this bowl of shells is more or less an ellipse. So I'm going to use my ellipse tool to cut it out. It's a Marquee Tool and Elliptical Marquee. Now it's quite difficult to freehand sort of select that. See, I've not quite got that right. So you can see I've missed the edge of the bowl. So I need some help. So the first thing I'm going to do is just zoom in on the shape, so I've got a clearer view of it. The next thing, I'm going to use some guidelines. So I'm going to view, and I'm going to turn on my rulers. And from my rulers, I can drag out a guideline, and I'm going to move this just to the top of the bowl. So just there. And I'm going to grab another ruler out from the edge of the bowl, from the side to the edge of the bowl there. Now where these two intersect, that's the point where I want to click to draw my elliptical marquee. So I'm going to click just on where they cross over, and I'm going to draw out and around my bowl, and that looks to me to be almost perfect. So I'm going to select, and now I've got my dotted ants, my selected area being this bowl. So I can then go edit, copy, nip over to my plate, and I can go edit, paste, and there's my bowl. And I'm going to move it using the move tool. So I'm just going to drag and place my bowl up there. Not bad. So there's our first one done. The next shape, let's just scroll down, is going to be this sand dollar, and it's telling me I should use this selection tool here, which is the quick select. So if I click on quick select, it creates like a paintbrush, which I might make a little bit larger because I've got quite a large sand dollar. I could go even bigger than that. There it is. And all I'm going to do is just click on the sand dollar, and you can see straight away the ants have gone from my plate, my bowl, and they've gone to the sand dollar. So again, I can go edit, copy, nip over to the plate, edit, paste. There's my sand dollar, and actually in the middle might be fine for that one. Let's go get the next one. Now here's my Nautilus, and it says to use the magnetic lasso. I might just get rid of that guideline now. I don't need it. So I'm on this move tool. I'm just going to drag the line back to the ruler, and it will vanish. So it's out of my way now. So let's get the magnetic lasso. And if I just click on the edge, and I can just vaguely follow around the shape that I want to cut out. I don't have to be precise. I can be a little bit off. You can see either side. And Photoshop is working out. Now, sometimes when there's a corner, it's good just to click, just to tell it that absolutely is a corner and don't go off in a different direction. If you've got a messy, complicated background, sometimes it struggles with this a little bit, but it certainly works. And click to finish. So the ants are now running around the Nautilus, and again, I can edit, copy, take it to my plate, edit, paste, boom, there's my Nautilus. So move tool, and let's just donk it down in that corner there. Back to my seashells, and we're going to go up and get the coral. Now the advice for the coral here is that we're going to use two different tools. Now this gets a little bit tricky, but I really like this one. So I'm going to change my elliptical marquee to the rectangular, and I'm going to select all the pixels inside this box. But I don't want all this white area. If I was to copy and paste that now, let's just see, Control C, take it to the plate, Control V, I get all this white area. So I don't want that, Control Z. Let's go back. So I want to get rid of the white. So to do that, I'm going to use the magic wand. So I'm changing my quick selection to magic wand. And up here, I've got some options. This just means select new. So whatever you've selected before, get rid of it and now select something new. This one adds to my selection. So if I click somewhere else, it will add to what's already been selected. And this one subtracts. Now I want to subtract the white. So with the tolerance of 32, this is just like the fill. How similar do you want it to be? 32 is fine for this. I just want to click in this white area, and it will subtract the white from what I already selected. So it leaves me with just the coral. So now I can edit, copy, nip to my plate, and I can go edit, paste. There's my coral. Let's just move it to the side there. And I've got two more to do. I've got this razor shell, and I'm going to use the polygonal lasso for this one. So click and change it to polygonal, and this time you click and it draws straight lines, and those are the edges. So I'm just going to trace the edge of this shape. It takes a little bit of patience. These are all quite angular, so it's okay to use this tool now, right on the edges. And so my dotted ants, dancing ants, marching ants are now running around my razor shell. Edit, copy, stick it on my plate, edit, paste. There's my razor shell, and I move that. Now the last shape I'm not going to do. I'm going to leave you to decide which tool you think would be best to cut out this scallop shell. So now I'm done. I've got all my shapes cut out, apart from the one I'm leaving you to do. And what I want to see here is not the properties, not the adjustments. I just want to close that. We're going to look at the layers. Now you can see each of these shapes has appeared on a different layer with my plate in the background. And if I just move, let's just move this sand wedge. Let's see where it is. You can see that's on layer 2 above layer 1. If I drag that down underneath, I can swap those over. For what we're doing, it doesn't really matter. I just want to show you that the layers work like that, one on top of another. But what I want to do to these layers is just add a shadow to give a bit of pop to the images, to make them stand out from the plate a little bit. So I'm clicking on layer 1, I'm going to Effects, and I'm going to go to Drop Shadow. And let's just move it so we can see the plate. You can see there's a slight shadow now around the plate. I'm going to change this angle so the light's coming from here, so the shadow will fall in that direction. If I change the distance, you can see on the background the shadow moving. So I think a distance of about, I don't know, 15. The spread is how wide the shadow is. I'm just going to leave that at 0, and the size is how blurry the shadow is, so you can see it sort of blurring out. So I'm going to go for about 21 and click OK. So you can see there's a slight shadow around my plate or my bowl. Now I can copy that effect, right click and copy layer style, and then I can select the others. So if I clicked layer 2 and shift click on layer 5, it selects all of those. I can right click and paste my layer style, and all of those have now got a shadow, and I've now got a finished plate. So this is, it might say JPEG, but all these layers mean this is now a Photoshop document. So if I was to go File and Save, I could save this as plate. Let's just stick it on my desktop, and I'm going to call it Finished Plate. It's a Photoshop document. That means if I open it, I can edit it again. But if I want to share this image, like upload it into a Google document, I need to turn it into a JPEG. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, change it to JPEG, and still call it Finished Plate. And we'll do a save. Let's make sure it's on the desktop, and do a save. Set my quality. That will do. And so I've got Finished Plate here as a JPEG, and if I look at the properties, we can see this takes up 553 kilobytes.